All right, are we live? I think YouTube is finally ready at all that time. Come on, man. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Are we live? We are live. So let's hit it.
Alrighty, everybody. Minister Brother Derrick here. I just want to do this real quick.
Can y'all hear that?
39. So let's go ahead and get
turn this volume up a little bit.
Let's just go ahead and get this.
Let me turn it back down, y'all.
Stop, look, and listen. Stop resisting. It's a new day. Let's try a new way. Jesus put an offer on the table, and everyone out there is now able to come home with God in your heart. You're never alone. If you believe me, you don't need that weed. Give Jesus a hug and put down those drugs. The victory over death is already won. So why are you picking up that gun? If your spirit is activated, now think. Why do you need that alcoholic drink? Because the devil tells you. He rules you. He fools you. But the minister is here to school you. I'm here to preach. I'm here to teach. And it's you I'm trying to reach through this song.
Where are you at?
That I compose when Jesus comes back. Only God knows. Are you ready or are you sitting heavy?
Okay, I have to fix that.
Are you ready or are you sitting heavy? You won't be if you follow me. Are you with now? Oh God, what can I say about thee? You still love my sinners and you offer your grace for free. I'm not worthy, but you still search me out of a life of sin. And with Jesus' help, I know I can win. I love serving my Lord. He opens the door to a relationship with God. This is the only way in the name of Jesus. I always pray and I lay myself as a footstool for the lost demons. I know that food. It's not true to be a believer, but I'm not with my soul in the hands of the deceiver, a wicked devil who brings nothing but trouble. I put my desires on ice and long for reaching paradise. A day with no pain, no stress. You gave me the way, and now I'm blessed. You can test me as the devil stress me. But baby, hell is one place I don't want to see. So stop, look, and listen. Please stop resisting. It's a new day. Let's try a new way. Are you ready or are you sitting heavy? Stop, look, and listen. Please stop resisting. It's a new day. Let's try a new way. Minister Brother Derrick. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Peace, everyone. This is Minister Brother Derrick.
All right, tell them.
And that's what I do. It's really hard to be a Christian. Welcome to the Minister Brother Derrick Show. And I am Minister Brother Derrick. I just want to say that I love Jesus. And that's the title of this song. I love you, Jesus. We'll follow you wherever you lead us. I love you, Jesus. Don't let the devil deceive us. Can't get enough. I love my Jesus. Well, people say to keep it real. But here's the deal. If you're not saved, you're missing out. If you're not born again, your future is in doubt. Your body wasn't made to last. When your time comes, it will be reduced to ash. Your flesh will rot, but your light will not. You know your soul will go on forever, so you better realize that you need God or you will be surprised by the pain of a flame that never goes out. The pits of hell where the heat swells up, there's no relief, not for a moment of peace. The agony and cries never cease, and someone in the background singing, burn, baby, burn. This isn't normal. Burn, baby, burn. I'm a walking inferno. But seriously though, this will happen if Jesus come back and finds you natural. See, no one knows the time of day. But if you follow the word, it won't matter anyway. Because in heaven, no one will ever be sick or shed a tear. So in this realm, I show no fear. What you gonna do? Kill me? Make me a martyr? Give me a head start? Put me on the fast track? So keep macking, keep stacking, keep on shacking up. But get caught napping and the jig is up. And I just want to say, I love you, Jesus.
I love you, Jesus.
Follow you wherever you lead us.
Wherever you lead us.
I love you, Jesus. Don't let that devil deceive us. I love you, Jesus. If you think that witnessing to your neighbors is weird, think of foreign countries with statues of idols are revered. Nations of people who don't know God, only mythical characters like a Apollo, Babel, or Lazarus. Most Americans believe in one Lord, one superior being. Christians should be born of souls by the millions, but we spend our time fulfilling the desires of our flesh. We won't give Jesus our best effort, but we ask for blessings that we don't deserve. And you wonder why our prayers are not heard. In church, you put down those you really admire. You know you have a desire to make that easy money. Drive the fancy car. You feel like a star when you enter the bars or clubs. Deep down, your spirit isn't for God or His ways. So why should anybody listen to a darn thing you say? I love you, Jesus. Follow you wherever you lead us. I love you, Jesus. Don't let the devil deceive us.
Don't let him deceive us. You know that we love you, Jesus.
I love you, Jesus. We'll follow you wherever you lead us. Let the Holy Spirit lead us. And one more time.
Yes, no.
I love you, Jesus. All right, y'all, let's get it. Let's get to the Bible study. The minister, Brother Derrick Show. Let's get it. Welcome to the Sunday sermon, everyone. This is...
Wait a minute.
Brother Derrick.
You say that for our break. Alrighty, y'all. I don't know why I'm looking so purple today, but let's fix that real quick, and then we'll get started. First of all, how's the volume? Where's everybody? How is the volume? You don't know if y'all noticed. Don't know what happened to the ones we ordered last week, but they came today. We got our new headset with the flip-up mic. We also got some earbuds for me to wear around the house. And I might be tomorrow showing these. Wait a minute, how you open these things? I just got them. I ain't had a chance to even use them. We might do the show tomorrow in these. Don't know if y'all can see them. So, before everybody say, why you get them, because some of y'all know, because some of y'all was with me today when I was looking. I got them because they said they could have them here in 4 hours, and they did. They had them here in 4 hours. They kept their word. Wait a minute, I can't find a plug now. Where the plug go? There it is. Plug these boys back up. All right. And I got to figure out how to pair them. But I got to figure out the software because these ain't loud like the other ones. I mean, it's a good thing it ain't loud. I'm not going to sit here and lie. But I'm feeling pretty blessed right now. Y'all know we didn't get to do the sermon. But we will. We're going to do it today. Unfortunately, we're going to have back-to-back. Wait a minute. My Doug Farmer said it's an echo in my voice. Chung Lee says it's all good. My Doug Farmer says okay on my end, all fixed. So, alrighty, y'all. I gotta say, I like them. I wasn't gonna get these again because I was mad because they still don't know where the first ones are, but Chung Lee kept hammering it home, so we got them. So do I look professional? Should have shaved. Do I look professional? So y'all, how do I sound? And we need to play a regular song before we get started because I don't want to have to stop in the middle. I don't want to have to stop in the middle of the show. So let's play a regular song. Give me one of these, well, whatever. Y'all know I like this. Let's get to the mood anyway. That's all, y'all. Windows Media Player. I didn't set it up. I'm ready to back the computer. So let's set up the Annie Mays real quick. Annie Mays / gifts. I call them Annie Mays, short for animations. Put it on loop. And we got to test it. And that's something I forgot to do. I'm sorry, y'all. That's my bad. That was something that I forgot to do. I want you made animation to play. There we go. Make sure it's working. All right, make it full screen.
Now I stop it.
All right.
Don't stop.
Now let's bring it back.
And it's recording.
Now we sized up and ready to go.
Now
all right, we got Annie Mays.
Oop.
Got our Windows Media. When that Windows Media is open, I just froze. Why I freeze for a second? Come on now. Don't even start. Just because I open up that anime, you want to freeze up on me, son? Just because I open up that anime now, I could have helped the PC out. I really could have helped the PC out by doing 25 frames a second instead of 30, but hit the chat. McDonald said need pencil. Oh, we already said that. He said, Earthy Man Chun, how was trip to the bike shop? Exciting, I bet. Said no shots fired, so most of all worked out. At least said I'm happy his bike is sick. It's too cold for the scooter. Yes, it is a Christmas present, and I'm gonna have to go outside and wait for that thing tomorrow. I don't even care about it, to be honest with you. But we paid for it, so even though we don't need it now. Well, we don't need it now. I wish and like I say, shout out to your son, Chun Li. Shout out to your son. Because we sitting here making it work. Now, that adapter would have took, because I still might use it. That adapter, I could have put that into the new sound card. And then I could have that. I could put that into the new sound card. And then I could have had that run, and we could have used the Dolby Atmos, the Sonic, the Creative Blast enhancements, the Dolby Digital Home Theater and Plus, the DTS, the THX. Oh Lord, there's so many enhancements they made, and we got them all on this computer. Hey Nia, late but welcome. I need y'all to remind me. To give matter of fact, let's do it now so I don't forget. Let's do it right now. I thought I had put it back, but it didn't come back when when I reloaded the OBS. It didn't come back. For the memberships. Okay, right. So you got Chung Li, Liz, Naya, and me. Okay. With the badges and emojis. Edit. Okay, go to emojis. All right. All right, let's come back out. I didn't mean to bore y'all, but we just made a correction. Now, if anybody want their own emoji, it's only $1.99. $1.99 a month. So you're a member to the platform. Anybody that you don't have your emoji. It'd be like if I wanted to say, hey Nia, all I do is put her emoji in. Alrighty, y'all. Like I said, not only do we have the bike back, but it's got a better inner tube on it, supposedly. And the seat is fixed. Now, I really didn't get to take advantage of it. I was trying to hurry up and get back before we missed the deliveries. And, of course, we were just a little short. They had a new mail person, supposedly. That person said 5:05. We got there at 5, so. I don't know how it was undeliverable. All they had to do was open the door up and sit it inside, and somebody would have got it. But it's okay. I ain't mad. So, how do I sound on this microphone? And Tony, you said if you flip it up, it goes mute. Let me pull the OBS up so I can see. I'll let everybody see. So hello, 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 hello. No, it still works. Hello, hello, hello. No, it still works. So I guess that's not a feature. Let's try it again. Does it like lock in the place? Hello, 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 hello. What about down? Hello, 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 hello. Nah, guess it doesn't matter where you put it. I had to find out where the mute button is then. But anyway, I'm not really concerned about that. Especially since it didn't cost as much. There's got to be some trade-off, but long as the y'all can hear, that's what matters. Can you hear me, and can I hear the show? But to be honest with you, I'd rather use the other thing, but it won't let me use it. It gave us 2 of them, so that's something I'm going to have to work on. Well, man, why don't you come in here and say something? You make me stop the show to tell me that. Really? Can we just say really? Really? Like a drunk hill? Oh, Lord. See? That's how a person get in trouble. You better be glad there wasn't nothing to show. Because I had to stop this stream, doggone it. Throw it away. Luckily, there wasn't nothing to show. So let's get to our topic today. I told y'all our topic was going to be Lazarus and the poor beggar. Does anybody remember that? Chung Lee says, and it sounds good. Well, like I said, I ain't really worrying about muting it, because if I'm going to eat something, I will put a video on. Lazarus. Does anybody remember the story of Lazarus and the rich man? The beggar, Lazarus, and the rich man. This story has always stuck with me. See, some people read the Bible every day, and they can quote you stuff that's in there, but then when you ask them to explain it, they sound simple. That's a nice way to say it. They sound simple, meaning that they reading something because they memorized it, but they don't know what it means. And if they know what it means, they don't know how to convey it to you to make you care. Do y'all understand? McDuck said he doesn't know that Bible story. Well, you're going to find out today, sir. It's a good parable. It's a good story that Jesus taught to the people, but it had so much more meaning. This story is really the basis of our platform. For all the people that keep saying they ain't no hell, they ain't no, this story backs it up. It come out Jesus' own mouth. They're there. When I teach y'all, give me 1 second here. Let me see if I can find the Annie Mae. So you can use the Annie Mae to teach with. Hold on. Go to Bibles. Scroll down. Shouldn't be that hard to find. There it is. This animation is what the story is about. So check out that animation, y'all. Wait a minute. Can we pause it? I like that. That's in the new OBS Studio 26.2. You can now pause the anime. If y'all look, you see the earth on the left. Up top, you see the saved. Down the bottom, you see the lost. Up the top, you see God and Jesus' people. At the bottom, you see the hooligans, the demons, the atheists, the killers, the fornicators, the idolaters. Those are the people that's going to be at the bottom. And I always tell y'all, look at this. Look at how narrow the opening is to get into paradise. Because, see, this is, you can read it, Sheol or Hades, the place of the dead. This is where you go when you close your eyes for the last time. You either go up or you go down. There ain't no in between. You go up, you go down. This is a story that's going to take us there. Because Lazarus is there, and so is the rich man. And remember, it's harder for, because Jesus said out of his own mouth, it's harder for a rich man to get into heaven than it is for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. And notice, this is called Lazarus the beggar and the rich man. This parable is called Lazarus, the beggar, and the rich man. What place you think the rich man is? For those of y'all who haven't even, I'm ready. We go to the scripture in a second. We're going to go to the scripture in a second. I always give you my take, and then we go see what the other people say. Does it match up? Is what I say going to match up with what the people say? All right, now. Luckily, there was no audio there, but let me mute that and let me hide it. It shouldn't be there. Okay? Now, did y'all see this? Look, I want y'all to look at how narrow it is. Look at how narrow the opening, the gate is to get into the paradise. Look how wide it is to get down here. Look at all these people that think they're going up here. They're going to be down here. And it's called torment. I call it baby hell. Because when you get thrown in the lake of fire, plus the magic dragon, that's it. Your body, your spirit, everything. Poof. Gone. Gone. You gone forever. Ain't no reincarnation, you gone. Jesus told this story. But I want y'all to keep this in your mind. As I'm reading the story, I need you to keep this picture in your mind. Look at paradise. Look at that great fixed gulf. That fixed gulf means that you can't cross over. Somebody up top can't come down. You can go to the edge and look down, and the people can go to the edge and look up. But they can't meet. They are separated. You are separated for those thousands of years. And you're either going to be chilling in paradise, laid back, in full comfort, or you're going to be on a slow burn down there in torment. The only thing you're going to be able to see is the flame. But the smoke from the flames might not let you see anything. Nobody can get from one side to the other. You're stuck there. There is no. You can't get back. You down or you up. I can walk all the way over to the edge and look up and see you and be jealous. I can walk over and look down at you and go down. I'm glad I ain't there. Like, ooh, child, things are going to get easier. Ooh, child, things will get brighter. Right from them flames. It ain't going to get easier. I'm lying to you when I say that. But let's get to the scripture. Let's go to the word. And let's get started. China, no. That's a different Lazarus. That's a different Lazarus. Mother Farmer said beggar and rich guy in the Bentley. There ain't no tie. You either is or you ain't. You is or you ain't. So let's get to the story, y'all. Y'all ready? Are you ready? Let's get it. I'll blow this up so y'all can see it. Can you see it? All right. Luke 16:19 to 31. The rich man and Lazarus. I've been saying Lazarus and the rich man. My bad. I think I spelled Lazarus wrong too. I think I had. Oh, we'll see. Y'all ready? There was a rich man who was dressed in purple and fine linen and lived in luxury every day. At his gate was laid a beggar named Lazarus, covered with sores and longing to eat what fell from the rich man's table. Even the dogs came and licked his sores. The time came when the beggar died, and the angels carried him to Abraham's side. The rich man also died and was buried. In Hades, where he was in torment, he looked up and saw Abraham far away with Lazarus by his side. So he called to him, "Father Abraham, have pity on me, and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in agony in this fire." I want y'all to stop and think for a second. Okay. This man allowed this beggar to wait for his crumbs to drop from his table. If he was eating vegetables, he hoped that a piece of vegetable came off his fork and hit the ground. If he was eating meat, he would hope that when he was trying to cut the meat, that a piece of it just flew up in the air and hit the ground, and he can eat it. They ate bread a lot in the Bible, and he was just hoping that man, you know how the crumbs from the bread, maybe a nice piece will fall off and he can eat. When the man could have said, "Here, Lazarus." The man could have said, "Lazarus, I'm a very rich man. Let me give you a job." Instead, he thought it was funny. So now he's down there in torments, baby hell. And he looked up and saw Abraham far away with Lazarus by his side. So Lazarus made it in. The dirty bum made it in, but the rich man didn't. So he called to him, "Father Abraham, have pity on me and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in agony in this fire." You got a rich man who knew that this man used to lay in front of his gate with open sores, and the dogs would come and lick the wounds. He knew that this man picked up the crumbs that had fell into the dust of the ground and ate them. And he wanted this man to dip his finger in some water and come down there and touch it on his tongue. I wouldn't let Lazarus touch me with a 10-foot pole. That shows you how bad it is down there. For those of y'all that think you're going to be down there playing cards and hanging out, nah. Let this marinate. I'm trying to set the stage for you. The man is in so much agony that he will lick water. He will lick water off a man who he wouldn't let touch him in real life. But you're going to lick some water off that man's hand. That's how bad it is. So he asked Abraham to send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in agony in this fire. Abraham replied, Son, remember that in your lifetime you received your good things, while Lazarus received bad things. But now he is comforted here, and you are in agony. And besides all this, between us and you is a great chasm. That's the place that Meduck called the middle ground. Now, it's a great chasm. It's set in place so those who want to go from here, you cannot, nor can anyone cross over there to us. So nobody can cross over because of that chasm. It's a barrier in place to keep you where you're supposed to be at. I guess you can sort of say it's like jail. The rich man answered, I beg you, Father, send Lazarus to my family. Wait a minute now. I want y'all to notice something. This is something about rich people. Rich people will treat you like dirt and still expect you to wait on them hand and foot. I want y'all to notice this. He wouldn't let the man sit at his table. He could have cleaned that man up and gave him a job. He could have had a servant fix him a plate, and he could have stayed up there at the gate and ate every night. And I had to come sit under the table and hope that he dropped something. He could have done this, and it wouldn't have cost him anything. He was rich. He wouldn't do it. But now Lazarus is supposed to leave paradise to come down there and start burning just to give him a drop that's going to burn before he get there. He dipped his whole hand in water. By the time he get down there, it's going to be burnt up. Now, he wants to send the bum who he had no use for and didn't want to help. Now he wants to send the man. He now wants to send the man. He wants to send the man to his family. Why should Lazarus do this if he could? The man didn't do nothing for him. Why should he leave the comfort of paradise to do anything for this man? This is a good lesson. People that don't respect you and mistreat you, even when you got the drop on them, they still see you as a servant. They still see you as beneath them. He's up there chilling with Abraham, the father of the Israelites, the father of God's chosen people, the Adam of Christianity. Right? And you expect him to leave that nice spot to come down there and give you some water. You expect him to leave that spot and go back to earth where he was treated like nothing. You want him to go back and tell your family and warn them. But that's what he's about to say. I beg you, Father, send Lazarus to my family, for I have 5 brothers. Let him warn them so they will not also come to this place of torment. So even though he's down there, he's a failure. He might have been rich on earth, but right now he's a failure. But even in his failed state, he's still trying to bark out orders. What's that marinate? Why should Abraham pay him any mind? Why should Lazarus care? Them 5 brothers didn't do nothing for him when he was down on earth, and they all rich. They didn't do nothing for him. Why should he leave paradise to come back to an earth that he was treated so badly on? For you. Who are you? You down there because you a loser. You were treated like a winner on earth, but now you are a loser. Lazarus is sitting pretty. You down there in the agony burning, begging for a drop of water. How you giving orders when you begging for a drop of water? So he asked Abraham to send the bum Lazarus to his family to warn them so they won't also wind up in torment with him. Abraham replied, "They have Moses and the prophets. Let them listen to them." I tell you all the time, people are sent to you, and you push them away. People click this channel and they see we doing religion, they go away. But that's going to be you. And some of you not even rich. But that's going to be you. Somebody go warn my mother, go warn my children. They have been warned. You get warned twice a week here. You don't pay no mind. Some of you watch, some of you leave. I ain't watching this crap. I ain't watching this. When are you going to do the news? But this is going to be you and the people around you. Abraham told him, they got Moses and the prophets. Let them listen to them. Meaning, the word that Moses wrote down from God, the first part of the Bible, Moses wrote, as it was told to him. You right. So the rich man said, "No, Father Abraham, but if someone from the dead goes to them, they will repent." And Abraham said to him, "If they do not listen to Moses and the prophets, they will not be convinced, even if someone rises from the dead." So that was 31. Is there any more to that? Where does 32 go to? No, that was it. Okay. If I go to 17, is it still on that? All right. So, before we get into the articles, let me check the chat and see if anybody got any comments. He was somebody, he probably had a rug or a carpet, and he went laid by the gate and hoped that as the people came by to see the rich man, somebody might feel sorry for him and give him a penny. He was a bum. Might have had mental illness, but he was a bum. And the rich man found him funny. The rich man found him funny. And that's why he let him lay at his gate. And that's why he let him sit under his table and try to catch some of the crumbs. that he was dropping. But the point of this is, you all have the knowledge. You just don't want to look at it. You want to pretend it don't exist. You want to act like it's not there. You see the people, oh, here they come again, them damn Jehovah's Witnesses. Oh, Lord, look at this man walking around with a microphone. Tell him to shut up. If I want to hear about them daggone religion, I got Sunday. I can hear it too. The preacher talk all day on Sunday. I don't want to hear you while I'm waiting for the bus. Turn that megaphone off. What's the matter with you? You hanging out with Rocky? What's the matter with you? Yo, Adrian. There you go. All right, let's get to our first article. Is the rich man and Lazarus a parable? It's been used to rebuke the rich, defend salvation by poverty, teach about the afterlife, condemn antebellum slavery, and even promote women's suffrage. Jesus' story in Luke 16:19-31 certainly raises a series of questions. Can heaven be seen from hell? Does wealth make the difference between the two? Are those in heaven aware of and indifferent to the suffering of those in hell? Is this a parable or a true story? The account is unique to Luke's gospel and has several other exclusive features besides. How should we interpret it, and what can it teach us today? Parable or not? First, is it a parable or tale of historical figures? Some in the medieval church and the Reformation believe it was an account of actual people rather than a parable. Calvin, for example, thought this because it has a named character, Lazarus, something no other parable has. Calvin's observation is right, but it's hard to miss the fact that Luke introduces the story the same way he does the four parables that preceded, including the famed prodigal son. All who are introduced with a generalizing formula. A certain woman, Luke 15:3, 15:8, 15:11, 16:1. Further, there's a good reason why the poor man is named and why it's Lazarus. But does it matter whether or not this is a parable? I don't think so, and neither did Calvin. We agree the main issue is comprehending the doctrine which it contains. The difficulty, of course, as Klein Snodgrass points out, is that no formula exists for determining whether an element of the parable is theologically significant. The best approach is to use the immediate context of the parable and a theology derived from the whole Bible as our guide. The church father Tertullian wrote, "We, however, do not take the parables as sources of doctrine, but rather we take doctrine as a norm for interpreting the parables. Therefore, we make no effort to twist everything so that it fits our own explanation, striving to avoid discrepancy. Why 100 sheep? And why indeed 10 drachmas? And what does that broom stand for? Well, when Jesus wanted to show how pleased God is at the salvation of one sinner, he had to mention some numerical quantity from which could be described as loss. The parable ends without any summary explanation from Jesus, like we find in, say, the Good Samaritan. But help is not far away. Just before this parable, Jesus tells another parable about wealth, Luke 16:1-13, and the passage in between 16:14 and 18 finds Jesus rebuking the Pharisees for loving money, exalting themselves in self-justification, and ignoring the Old Testament's authority. All three themes are woven into the parable of the rich man and Lazarus. We have the rich man's love of money, his self-importance, even in Hades. Woo, I said that. Yeah, I'm sorry. We have the rich man's love of money, his self-importance, even in Hades, and his rejection of divine revelation. Other themes emerge in contrast to these. Characters: the angels, 5 brothers, and Moses and the prophets play supporting roles, as does Abraham. The main characters, of course, are Lazarus and the rich man. Although tradition has called this man Dives, the Latin word for rich man, he has no name in the original. He's introduced as one who literally wears his wealth on his sleeve, clothed in purple and fine linen, and feels not the least pain of hunger. He's feasted sumptuously every day. Next there's poor Lazarus, a man covered with sores who sits at the rich man's gate, apparently close enough for him to see the food he can have, but far enough that the rich man can safely ignore him. The rich man clearly ignores the need on his doorstep. Only the dogs see the need. Their licks, which seem to provide relief, serve as a bitter contrast with the rich man's, whose own tongue will soon be the site of great need. Calvin asks, what could be more monstrous than to see the dogs taking charge of a man to whom his neighbor is paying no attention? And what is more, to see the very crumbs of bread refused to a man perishing of hunger, while the dogs are giving him the service of their tongues for the purpose of healing his sores. Consequences. The contrast don't end there. Upon death, Lazarus finds himself at Abraham's bosom, which is probably a reference to the heavenly banquet. John 13:23. For any Jew at the time, this seating arrangement would have been a mark of the highest honor. And what about the rich man? Despite the blessing of his great wealth, he ends up in Hades, or Hades, where he is in torment. It's hard to tell whether this Hades is intended to be different from hell or Gehenna. It's certainly not where he wants to be. From this surprising turn of events, some conclude the parable teaches that the poor go to heaven and the rich go to hell. The problem with such a view, as Augustine noted long ago, is that poor Lazarus is carried to the side of wealthy Abraham. If wealth alone determine our fate, then Abraham should be in Hades right along with the rich man. Instead, the reason for that fate is found elsewhere. The name Lazarus is probably the Hellenized version of an abbreviated form of Eliezer, which means God helps. The point is that Lazarus' deep physical need made him much more sensitive to his deeper spiritual need. Meanwhile, the rich man unwittingly condemns himself to Hades by using Lazarus' personal name. Luke 16:24. If he knows him now, he must have known him then. Worse still, he continues to treat Lazarus as beneath him, refusing to address him directly, and having the gall to ask that Lazarus quench his thirst, the very thing he wouldn't do for Lazarus. Abraham's response in Luke 16:25 mimics Jesus' teaching elsewhere. The measure we use to judge others will be used on us. Matthew 7:2. Here the first two things converge. The rich man's love of money has bloomed into a callous, self-justifying negligence for other needs. His lack of mercy finds his miserable echo in mercy not received. But the story doesn't end there. If the rich man won't be relieved, perhaps his family can be spared. This sounds altruistic, but the rich man is still asking for Lazarus to be sent. What's more, he insists on determining the terms by which they are warned. Moses and the prophets aren't enough. Only a resurrection would do. Abraham's response only adds to his indictment. If they won't listen to Moses and the prophets, they won't listen to anything. This is a third thing which connects back to Luke 16:16. God has given men the law and the prophets, and these have more than testified to what God expects. The problem isn't with the message, it's with the audience. Don't I tell y'all that every day? That's why we ain't got 100 people over here. That's why the chat not jumping. It ain't what we doing, it's what they want to hear. They don't want to hear this. That's why they're gonna be down there with the rich man. This helps explain the reason for the fixed chasm, Luke 16:26. That gulf is not fixed because God is nursing a cosmic grudge. It's fixed by the justice of God and the obstinacy of the ungraced human heart. The rich man is all too aware of his own suffering. Well, he cannot see because he will not see. That he's the cause of it. He won't admit that all his wealthy opulence brings him no closer to heaven's doorstep than it brought him to his own doorstep to help poor Lazarus. His great need is to recognize his greatest need, and that he will not do. The suffering of Hades has done nothing to dull his sense of self-importance. In his profound sense, we can speak of God's divine judgment as self-imposed, not because God is ashamed of it, but because we utterly deserve it. The most important lesson this parable teaches is a warning about money. Wealth calcified the rich man's heart. Though wealth doesn't always have this effect, who can deny that it often does? As many have realized, either we will our own money, we will own our own money, or the money will own us. You cannot serve God and money, as Jesus said a few verses before, Luke 16:13. So the true test can never be a simple dollar amount. It must be our sensitivity to the poverty and pain we find around us, a heart unwilling to help others because it might be risky or they might not deserve it, or it might cost us too much, is a heart unwilling to recognize the desperate help we ourselves need from God. And the stakes couldn't be higher, since heaven and hell hang in a balance. As Ephraim and the Syrian comments on this parable, we cannot hope for pardon at the end unless the fruits of pardon can be seen in us. Ooh. Oh, that's hot right there. Y'all heard what that man said. That's hot right there. Y'all heard him. We cannot hope for pardon at the end unless the fruits of pardon can be seen in us. If we don't pardon each other, why do you expect Jesus and God to pardon you? Let that marinate. The only answer then is to help others out of sense of our own desperate need before God. Bank balances aside, none of us is above helping others. We are all beggars helping beggars. When I see the homeless, the helpless, or the hurting, I should see myself because this is what I am like before God. The good news is that God is Lazarus, the God who helps, and because he has so helped us, we are freed and fueled to help others. Anybody have any comment? One second here. Let me check the chat. Uh-oh. Hello? Hello? No, the sound was working. Do a refresh, Liz. The sound was working. Wait a minute. Let's do a test. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Wait a minute, let's do a test. All righty. I just checked on the phone, and we seem to be good. All right, so let's take a. Anybody have any comments? All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get to this and get it over with. Because look, can somebody get this man some ideas? I ain't going to make fun of him.
I know me, I'm going to go one-on-one with the toe.
But this is getting repetitive. It's getting repetitive.
So I'm going to kick him. Now I miss. See y'all see that? I'm going to put it back more. So y'all better see. So y'all see how I kick him? So y'all see that? See what I'm doing my other leg? Kick him. Right there. So I'm going one-on-one with the tunnel.
You can't look at the camera, you gotta look at what you hit, man.
So I'm going one-on-one with the tunnel like this. So I got him like that. See, close on.
You got Bruce Lee shirt on.
I don't know, it's up off the couch, but we'll do it. I'm sorry. Whoa.
Is that spin?
So you see how I kick him? So I'm going one-on-one with the tunnel. Right there.
Well, he figured my secret.
One-on-one.
Spin kick. You can actually, instead of trying to go straight, go up, and you can hit somebody high.
No, I'm gonna do a little transfer. Kung Fu Master. See that? So I took him down.
Oh, that's right. I don't have no wires. What am I doing?
So I'm gonna pick him up. I got kick it on in the stomach. That's all.
And this phone over here so I can see the chat.
See, I'm gonna do it that way, y'all. Yeah. Right there.
Don't leave sexy, be right back.
You know, something. So we got camera.
We'll do a flying clothesline. Crossbody block.
Whoa, I missed. I'm trying to be careful. One more time. You know what I'm gonna do, y'all? I'm gonna try to jump on the couch over here. I'm gonna put the pillow on.
Is it like the visitor?
See that one side of this bed there? Whoa. See one more time. So I got the guy. Y'all. So I got the guy. Ooh. So I got him like that. See? So I feel like I'm gonna put the tunnel oil back over 101 with the toe. And martial arts fire.
I still got some. Yep, I sure do. I still got some chicken left from last night, man. But
So y'all see how I kicked the toe, but so I knocked him off, see? See, he laid back out. He laid out on the couch right there. Y'all see how I took him off? So I'll do all that jumping and kicking and stuff. And I'm just carrying my breath. Doing all this moving around and stuff. All this moving around. I'm gonna say bye now. And y'all see the toe laid out? See, y'all see it? See, look at the toe laid out. I'm gonna say bye now. See the toe laid out. I kicked him right. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm gonna say one more thing. I know rest in peace, Tony Listen Jr. from Friday, Debo. So y'all see how I took the toe? Y'all see how I took the toe out? I know Lord, I was about to say table. I'm gonna say, I'm trying to say table. I'm still catching my breath. Do all this kicking, punching, moving around, do all this couch right here.
that's not a story.
This couch right here.
Who cares?
And I'm gonna say bye now.
Yeah. Okay, Ever Kevin King? Did he do anything else today? That fish video got us flagged. Yeah,
I'm gonna go one-on-one with the toad.
I ain't forgot that. All right. Nice. Said be right back. All right. Nia. Hurry back, Nia. All right, let's get on to our next video, y'all.
Breaking news, several pedestrians are hit by a car on Manhattan's East Side. Good evening, everyone. I'm Maurice Dubois.
And I'm Alice Gaynor in for Christine Johnson. Police say those victims are believed to have been protesting at the time.
CBS 2's Andrea Grimes live at the scene right now with the breaking details. Andrea.
Well, Maurice and Alice, I just got word that 6 people were hurt, taken to area hospitals. Their conditions at this time are unknown. Let me show you the scene. It is a heavy police presence here at 39th and 3rd on the east side, where there was this protest going on earlier around 4 p.m. Let's show you some video of the car in question, a BMW. You can see some of the damage to it. Police say the driver is being questioned at this time. It is unclear exactly what happened, if the driver lost control or what. This happened around 4 o'clock. The driver, we're told, did stay on the scene. A witness said they were protesting, heading up 3rd Avenue, about 30 people when the car came through. This witness says they've been protesting in solidarity with those on a hunger strike at an ICE facility in Bergen County, New Jersey. But again, back out here live, you can see multiple officers on bicycles. 6 people, again, were hurt. One protester, we're told, was arrested for obstructing governmental administration. A few protesters we've watched curse and scream at the police. We're trying to get more information. We'll bring it along to you as soon as we get it. For now, reporting live on the east side, Andrea Grimes, CBS 2 News.
Okay, Andrea, thank you.
That's crazy. Crazy out.
Good evening. On November 9, 2 days after the election was called for Joe Biden, and more than a month ago, a senior Republican official said this to the Washington Post about the president's unwillingness to accept the outcome. But what's the downside for humoring him for this little bit of time, the official asks. No one seriously thinks the results will change. Well, tonight, after multiple recounts in multiple states, after dozens and dozens of failed court challenges, tonight we know the results have not changed. But there is a downside, because this was never really about what the president thinks, it's about what he would do. So tonight, here's what this vain and selfish man, who has never honestly demonstrated the ability to put his country before himself, is now doing. He's now all in on what he's billing as the big one, a Supreme Court challenge led by Texas, pitting state against state, not to mention fantasy and junk science versus facts.
President Donald Trump deserves his day in court. The Supreme Court. And all I can say is God bless Texas.
You think he practices that? I think he does. The vice president in Georgia today, a state that certified Joe Biden the victor after counting the vote 3 times, a state with a Republican governor and Republican election officials, all of whom said their election was free and fair. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is now asking the Supreme Court to invalidate the votes there, all of them, along with all the ballots cast in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. 18 other Republican-controlled states have signed on to this effort. And today, more than 100 House Republicans got in on it too, filing their own amicus brief, including Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan.
President Trump wins 19 of the 20 bellwether counties around the country, increases his vote with Hispanic Americans, African Americans, but somehow Joe Biden, who hung out in his basement, who would have a rally and get 55 people when the president would have a rally and get 55,000 people, somehow Joe Biden gets 80 million votes and wins. He gets 12 million more votes than Barack Obama did. So nothing squares with what we know and historically what's happened.
Yeah, nothing squares with what we know. Congressman Jordan is parroting, almost word for word, words expressed in the president's supporting brief in the case, which he says, quote, won 18 of the country's 19 so-called bellwether counties, counties whose vote historically almost always goes for the candidate who wins the election, which is actually true, but completely irrelevant. I mean, for years, Texas and most of the South was solidly Democratic, and then it wasn't. That's called voting. That's what happened. And that's what happens when a lot of people vote. And a lot of people voted. The brief also cites President Trump's nearly 75 million votes as a record for any incumbent president. Yeah, okay. It doesn't mention President-elect Biden's more than 81 million votes, which is a record for any candidate. Nor does it mention how much of the massive turnout was from people determined to try and get Trump out of office. In fact, according to CNN's exit polling, 32% of Biden's more than 81 million voters said their ballot was a vote against Trump. And Republicans further down the ticket, by the way, including Congressman Jordan, did just fine. You don't hear Congressman Jordan raising the issue of fraud in his election. He seems fine. He won. The president didn't win. The brief also claims that no candidate has ever lost the election after winning Ohio and Florida as the president did. That's actually false. Richard Nixon won both in 1960, but lost to John Kennedy. The lawsuit itself cites a dubious statistical analysis, which the president's defenders have, of course, seized upon lately.
Feel like you've tried almost everything to relieve your...
Boy, I tell you, they won't give it up, will they? Sad. They won't give it up. Here's our girl, Katie.
President Trump to be ahead as far as he was at 3 a.m. in these 4 states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, and for the vote to swing by as much as it did, the probability of that in one state is 1 in 1 quadrillion. That's 1,15 zeros. To happen in all 4.
You told them not to vote. The vote was breaking.
The fourth power.
You shot your load.
15 zeros to the power. That's the brain trust, Kayleigh McEnany. Now, this assumes that the votes that were counted after election night would have been divided exactly the same as the ones cast on election day. That's what they're doing here. Except we know that they weren't. Democrats voted heavily by mail-in and absentee ballot, as was discussed for months, because the president was railing about that. And in Pennsylvania especially, the last ballots to be counted came from heavily Democratic counties. Same in Wisconsin and in Michigan. Essentially, the president is arguing that he won because he was winning before all the votes were counted. So that's idiotic, no? I mean, yes? Yeah, idiotic. But that is what he's saying.
The alleged Biden margin of victory in several states is entirely accounted for by extraordinarily large midnight vote dumps. You saw them with going up to the sky. All extremely skewed to Biden.
Midnight vote dumps. It sounds suspicious. But maybe one of the reasons those ballots were counted so late was that Republican-controlled legislatures made it illegal to count them early. Yeah, that's not even the lamest argument the president is making. Here's what he tweeted just yesterday. At 10 p.m. on election evening, we were at 97% win with the so-called bookies. I mean, the implication is a bunch of Vegas touts tell him it's a sure thing. How could he lose? I suppose from a guy who went broke running casinos or trying to run them or running them into the ground, this may make sense. Or maybe he was citing the landmark case House v. Suckers. In any case, as to the thrust of his supporting brief and the case in chief, it's that one state can challenge the way another state runs its elections. Texas Republican Senator John Cornyn says he's struggling to, quote, understand the legal theory. I think there's a lot of folks who are struggling to understand the legal theory. In its brief today, Pennsylvania called the Texas lawsuit a, quote, seditious abuse of the judicial process. And here's what Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger had to say about what the president and his supporters are doing.
Failing to accept this reality puts the country in a very dangerous moment in time. What have we taught our children about politics? That it's a noble pursuit, or that to win is everything, and tweeting and yelling the loudest is the path to victory? We've tribalized and we've dehumanized.
Congressman Kinzinger began those remarks by saying, quote, repeating something over and over doesn't make it true. The president, meantime, he's doing just that, over and over again. Tweeting today, quote, most corrupt election in history, by far, we won. There's no evidence that's true, because it's not true. Tens of millions of his followers believe it, and that is sad. The president's brief even cites this as a reason the Supreme Court should rule in their favor, and that kind of gets the nub of this. It's a circular argument, fanning mistrust and then citing mistrust as evidence. And then it's kind of on a rinse and repeat cycle until you've got states and citizens at each other's throats.
Hey, Giannis, is this the new TV you're bragging about? The picture of my TCL TV?
You're gonna sneak me.
When you have more than a third of your electorate who thinks there's a major problem, a stolen election, that is not a healthy situation.
Yeah, we can agree with that. Sure. Yeah, that's not a healthy situation. But who's made those people feel this way? It's the President of the United States and Mr. Jordan there, especially when that belief is false. So yes, it's upsetting that so many people believe it, but it is false. And that's just the way it is. It's even more so when a president spreads those falsehoods and exploits those falsehoods in a desperate attempt to overturn the election that he lost.
Man won't give it up. He beat. Yeah, now he's still at it. Donald Trump is just gonna dream.
Here at noon, 2 former Massachusetts state police troopers have been arrested and charged with getting paid for overtime hours they did not work. Prosecutors say from 2015 to 2018, Lieutenant Daniel Griffin and Sergeant William Robertson conspired to embezzle thousands of dollars in overtime from federally funded programs. They're also accused of burning records and forms when the state police overtime scandal came to light 3 years ago.
We will keep doing these kinds of cases until this kind of abuse stops. Abuse that is deeply unfair to the majority, the vast majority of law enforcement officers who are doing the job fairly and honestly and already under difficult circumstances.
So both Griffin and Robertson are charged with conspiracy, theft, and wire fraud. They're set to face a judge in federal court in Boston this afternoon.
They don't say. Nia says the inauguration is around the bend. Hey, you think he's gonna show up? All right, y'all, here we go. Your government in action. Your government in action.
Brad Maria, different type of case here, definitely. This Chicago man says his issues started with one missing number from a document, and that led to many more errors. Michael Cunningham has lived at this home in Scottsdale for more than 20 years, but if you ask the Illinois Department of Employment Security, at one point, that was not the case.
And they sent me a letter saying I changed my address, which I didn't do.
That change put an immediate halt to his unemployment payments.
Second week in September, they stopped coming.
The carpenter at McCormick Place has been getting unemployment on and off for 25 years.
After doing housework shows, we would have 2 weeks off. I would go on unemployment.
The Chicago Auto Show in February, his final job before COVID-19 completely wiped out work. Documents show the address error came as IDES evaluated whether he should receive an extra 13 weeks of unemployment because of the pandemic. You can see one digit left off from the end of his house number, his last date of work also wrong. When he called to fix the problems, the agency asked him for his license and social security card.
No, well, I don't have a computer, so I faxed it a set first time, and they said they couldn't read it.
He called more times, and last week a letter came with his corrected address and last day of work, but another mistake. The bank account number for direct deposit, also wrong.
Somebody ain't checking numbers, I'll tell you that. They're saying that I'm red flagged. He pretty much told me that I have to appeal it. And, you know, appeal it ain't paying my bills.
Cunningham is now caught in a backlog of bills, working to clear his name with IDES through no fault of his own.
They have to get a better system. They're either trying to save money or something like that, or just pour long in it before people get it.
And we asked IDES what is going on here. The agency, like normal, said they couldn't comment on specific clients' cases, but Cunningham says he got a call back today once we started asking questions. He says the caller said that they will provide back pay, fix his issues. We'll, of course, check back in with him. Live at the lakefront, Stephen Graves, CBS 2 News. Marie.
Some results there. Okay, thank you so much, Stephen.
That's sad. You got to go through all that. Ain't nothing about. Nia says, laugh out loud, BDS, $64,000 question. Yeah, well, he might not show up. He might show up with a crowd. You didn't win. You didn't win. You didn't win.
A sexual assault inside a Brooklyn apartment has neighbors on edge. Police say the suspect followed the woman inside her building before forcing his way into her apartment. CBS's Natalie Duttridge is live with more in Marine Park. Natalie.
Well, Mary, there are several police cars parked along the block here on Avenue N. The NYPD says that suspect followed the woman to her apartment door, pushed a hard object into her back, pretending it was a gun, and ordered her to open the door. Once inside, he punched her in the face, tied her up, and robbed her.
Surveillance video shows a man wearing a black face covering and knee pads. Police say he simulated a gun to force entry into a 47-year-old woman's apartment building near Avenue N and East 33rd Street at around 12:30 p.m. yesterday, then used duct tape and zip ties to hold her down and sexually assault her.
You have to get upset. That's what happened to her too, and my children also.
Well, you'll be scared, of course. You know, you don't think it's a fake gun, you believe it's real.
Investigators say the suspect took the woman's cell phone before taking off westbound in this 2012 gray Mitsubishi Outlander. The woman was brought to a nearby hospital in stable condition and treated.
I think that's a terrible thing. I live around the corner, I have a wife and children. I'd love to see more police on the street here.
The suspect was last seen wearing a black hat, black face covering, and dark clothes with light knee pads similar to those used by construction workers. Police are now investigating all nearby construction sites to see if there's any connection.
Investigators say that suspect also ransacked the home looking for cash but couldn't find any. And when police arrived, they found that woman still tied up in her doorway, but they say they don't believe she knew her attacker. In Marine Park, Brooklyn, Natalie Duttridge, CBS 2 News.
Natalie, thank you.
You ain't even safe in your own building. Not even safe in your own building. Yeah. Nia said, Trump having the biggest temper tantrum in U.S. history. All right, y'all, I've been waiting to see this. I love live video. I love live video. I love live video.
Just revealed a frightening confrontation caught on camera. Two men point a gun at a pawn shop clerk, tie her up, and steal dozens of guns. Now, Jacksonville Sheriff says those robbers are under arrest, but police are looking for others who may have been involved. The holdup was last month at the Treasure Chest Pawn Shop on Cassett Avenue and Blanding Boulevard in Lakeshore. News 4 Jax reporter Vic Micolucci is joining us from the scene of the crime. Tell us first, Vic, how is that clerk doing?
A lot of people worried about her. A month later, according to her coworkers, she is still shaken up, but physically she is okay. Those two suspects came through this door as she was working inside. Then they did horrific things to her, according to the sheriff. But again tonight, she is at home and she is not physically hurt. Surveillance video shows the terrifying moments inside the Treasure Chest Pawn and Gun.
Two masked men posing as customers turn on the woman working alone in the store.
One of the males pointed a handgun at her, while the other male zip-tied her hands behind her back. The victim was ordered at gunpoint to hand over the keys to the gun cabinets and was then forced into a bathroom.
While that woman was held hostage, the crooks stole 40 guns and about $100,000 in cash and jewelry, then drove off in the clerk's car.
With her hands still tied behind her back, with the zip ties, this brave employee managed to call 911.
Jacksonville Sheriff Mike Williams tells us today those two men are now in custody, thanks to an anonymous Crime Stoppers tip that came in after police released this video on social media. Federal agents found 28-year-old Antoine Spite and 26 guns at his mom's house near Atlanta. And days later, they caught 30-year-old Brandon Nicholson at a motel on the west side. Detectives believe they were trying to move the guns to New York to sell them there. The man working here today did not want to be interviewed on camera, but he told me he is so appreciative of the hard work of the police and the federal agents. He's also thankful for the public, the people who came forward with those anonymous Crime Stoppers tips. And he wants to point out they have upgraded security all across this property. There are now even more cameras in every corner. But the case is not closed. Police are still looking for at least 2 more people involved, possible lookouts, and the 14 guns that could be sold on the black market. And I showed that security video to News4Jack's crime and safety analyst, Ken Jefferson. He says that woman who was held up did everything right. According to the police report, she was over 65 years old. Both of these men were armed, so he says her complying, listening to their orders, and remaining calm is likely the reason why she is alive today. We're live in Lakeshore. I'm Vic Michelucci, Channel 4, the local station.
Okay, y'all. I know some people are going to say that was a daggone shame. I'm going to tell y'all, whoever owned that store needs to be locked up. First of all, that store looks like a house. It don't even look like a store. That's number one. They need to change that store and make it look like a store. It needs to have open glass windows so people can walk by and look inside. You begging to be robbed. On top of that, you got an old lady in there by herself. You got an old lady in the store by herself. What idiot would have an old lady in the store working by herself? You got a business that's shaped like a house, not like a business. There's a reason why you want plexiglass. You want as much glass as possible so that people can look inside. That's why people don't do stuff. Because you can look inside. Somebody can say, hey, they're getting robbed, call the police. Hey, somebody getting jacked up, somebody call 911. You can look inside and see what's going on. That looked like a regular house, and somebody made a store inside of it. They don't have no plexiglass up, no bulletproof glass for the lady behind the counter. If somebody was going to steal something, what was that old lady going to do? Somebody talk to me. They ain't got no security in there. You got all them guns in there. There should be armed security. You got junkies that go to pawn shops. If they can't get the amount they think they should get, they're going to want to fight. They're going to want to take it. So you need security. Whoever the owner of that store is, they need to be whooped. Anybody agree? Let's keep it going. I saw this, and since we got the bike back today, I thought we should drool. Check out this bad boy. There's my boy Michael. That's my boy. I would love to do what he do. Do reviews on electric bikes.
Hey everyone, Micah here with Electric, and today we're reviewing the eCell's Super Monarch Crown electric bike. This e-bike has dual suspension, dual motors, and dual batteries. Oh, and it puts out over 2,000 watts of peak power. It's pretty awesome. Let's check it out.
Enjoy.
Right off the bat, I can tell you that this e-bike is a masterclass in excess. But it's that excess that makes the Super Monarch Crown all-wheel drive 1500 not just so much fun, but also such a capable e-bike. Let's start as usual here by checking out the specs. In terms of performance, with the pair of motors putting out a combined over 2 kilowatts of power, I can get up to around 32 or 33 miles per hour on flat roads, or about 52 kilometers per hour. Those motors are powered by a pair of 52-volt batteries, adding up to 1,638 watt-hours. The range is super variable depending on the type of riding you're doing. By choosing really efficient pedal assist, that battery could likely take you 60 or 70 miles, or well over 100 kilometers. If you're using throttle only though and powering up sand dunes or some other inefficient terrain, you might only get 20 miles or 32 kilometers. Average riding will probably net you somewhere closer to 40 miles or 65 kilometers, but again, these types of e-bikes will have vastly different ranges depending on how you ride them. Suffice it to say that 1,600 watt-hours is a lot of battery. Compare that to a typical 600 watt-hour battery on your average e-bike. Next, let's check out the components here. This full suspension e-bike rocks an RST air suspension fork up front and RockShox Monarch RL shock in the rear. The hydraulic disc brakes are powerful 4-piston Tektro Dorados with big old 203mm discs that are much chunkier than normal at 2.3mm thick. That means they can handle more heat when bringing this 95-pound e-bike to a stop repeatedly. For pedal assist, there's only a cadence sensor here, which is honestly kind of a bummer to me when I see other e-bikes in this price range rocking torque sensors, but that's pretty much my one complaint on the component side. Let's see, you've also got here a Shimano 10-speed transmission in the rear, a color LCD display up front, built-in lighting, and a pile of accessories that come with the bike, including mirrors, a nice toolkit, battery-powered tool inflator, helmet, gloves, pannier bags, etc. Those pannier bags are actually quite nice too, and they really add to the cargo utility of the bike if you're going to use this as sort of an all-around town kind of e-bike. Alright, but enough about parts. You came here to hear about the experience of riding this bike, right? So let's talk about what this crazy e-bike is like to use. First of all, it's a full suspension e-bike which can handle just about anything. Now with those giant fat tires, it's not the most nimble for trail riding, but it is more nimble than I expected, to be honest. I mostly kept it on the street though, which is where it makes an awesome urban assault e-bike. Riding this thing is like operating a tank, except a tank with acceleration that will have you holding on for dear life. These motors are powerful. Look, some e-bikes are silent, stealthy rides, and this one is not that. These motors are loud, the tires are loud, the e-bike has road presence, that's for sure. This is as close as you're going to get to a motorcycle in an e-bike's body. That doesn't mean it's not pedalable though. You can absolutely ride it like a bike and enjoy pedaling to your heart's content. It even has 9 different levels of pedal assist to tune into the exact amount of assist that you want. But I'll be honest and admit that I rode throttle only most of the time because it's just so much fun. You can hit speed bumps and potholes like they don't even exist on this bike. The powerful motors simply pull you over, and the combined suspension and giant tires erase nearly any hints of a less than perfect road surface. So what does something like this cost? You're sitting down for this, right? Okay, the MSRP is $5,195, with the bike currently on sale by eCells for $1,000 off, bringing the price down to $41.95. That's a lot of money, yeah, of course. You're basically getting more than 2 e-bikes here.
You lost me. You said we buffering? They're saying the encoder is overloaded. But we're not doing anything. Okay, so use it faster. Well, we're in 2K, so we can drop. I'll take it up to very fast. Yeah, we got that on. Yeah, we came down. Let's see if we can raise the bit rate. We got it on 4050. Let's take it up to 4350. Apply. Did it freeze? Something not right. Something just ain't right. Go ahead and do what you gotta do. I'm not gonna get mad at you. Just disappointed. I don't understand why they're saying that. Okay. All right, we did a fast reboot and we started the Bluetooth radio. Let's keep it going. You still frozen? Oh crap. Just realized something. When you holding the show up? All right. We back. Looks like we ain't doing that well today. I'm still happy, so I don't care.
The Supreme Court today, tweeting, quote, if the Supreme Court shows great wisdom and courage, the American people will win perhaps the most important case in history, and our electoral process will be respected again. Well, It is respected now after the free and fair election that we just completed. The court did show wisdom and courage in upholding that election and its results. It is the second time this week that the court has tersely rebuked a totally manufactured attempt with no basis in law to undo the free and fair election. All attempts put through by Republicans to pull a coup through the courts, to undo democracy. The suit from Texas was supported by 18 other state attorney generals, all Republican allies of Trump. There are plenty of Republicans who didn't support it, but the 18 who did were allies of the president. And it was supported by 126 Republican House members, including a late signee, the House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. He just signed on today. All of them backing what they know to be complete BS because they want Trump to approve of them and to back them. They think it's going to help their career. Or maybe the Attorney General of Texas, who is accused of serious crimes, wants a pardon. All of them, though, unified in putting themselves before their country and before truth. Jessica Schneider is out front in Washington. And Jessica, look, they put this out on a Friday night. They didn't mince words and they didn't waste time. What are you learning about the court's decision here and what happens next?
Yeah, Aaron, this is it. Game over for what was a long shot lawsuit anyway. It's a lawsuit, like you said, that gained support from more than 100 Republicans in Congress, nearly 24 Republican attorneys general. But the justices tonight have spoken for the second time this week, shutting down these Republican efforts to stop Joe Biden from becoming president. So the Supreme Court putting it this way in this one-page order tonight. Texas has no right to even file this lawsuit at the high court because Texas has no right to legally challenge how another state conducts its elections. And in this case, of course, Texas was challenging the election procedures for 4 crucial battleground states. And in this order, 2 of the most conservative justices, Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas, they said that they did believe the Supreme Court should have let Texas at least file the case. But then these 2 justices said that even if that had happened, they too would have rejected it. So this is a complete rejection of the Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton, his efforts to stop the electors in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, stop them from voting for Joe Biden when they meet on Monday. They cannot stop them at this point. So this was a short order, just one page and just a few sentences. But Aaron, this is a major defeat for Republicans tonight. And of course, it's a victory to all those states and officials who blasted this effort by Texas. In fact, officials in Pennsylvania, they called it a cacophony of bogus claims that called for a seditious abuse of the judicial process. That was in their court filing. And tonight, the Supreme Court really seeming to agree when they issued this order that capped a week of 2 Supreme Court rejections of Republican efforts. And of course, Aaron, we have seen repeated cases where they have shut down Republican efforts all over the country by state and federal judges. Now we're seeing it twice in 1 week from the Supreme Court, Aaron.
All right. Thank you very much, Jessica. And as we said, unified. Caitlin Collins is out front at the White House. And Caitlin, that has got to be something that the president simply cannot understand. I mean, what are you hearing? I mean, when we said this comes out from the justices as a whole, as it did earlier.
Yeah, it didn't take long here. I ain't going to play with him.
This case. He got all the Republican politicians, not all, but all of his friends to sign on. But his Supreme Court justices, the ones he nominated and put on there, they were on board with saying they'd have none of this.
Yeah, and so far, since this decision has come down, it's been complete silence here from the White House and from the president's campaign. We've reached out to them to ask for their response. But, Aaron, a lot of the people who were talking about this behind the scenes knew this is likely how this was going to end up. They weren't living in some different reality where they thought that the Supreme Court could actually take this case up. They knew it was a long shot. And I heard from several Republicans who put their names on that amicus brief yesterday to join this lawsuit that they believed the Supreme Court was going to shut it down pretty quickly, but they viewed it as a loyalty test to the president, and they know how powerful he's going to be, so that's why they signed it. However, the president, I'm told, actually thought that he had a chance of prevailing here. He kept bringing this case up all week. He talked about it at length, I'm told, yesterday during that lunch with those Republican attorneys general. And so the question here is, what does the president say about this? Because you are right. He has those 3 Supreme Court appointees that he made clear he wanted to get the latest one, Amy Coney Barrett, on the court in case something like this happened, because the president did predict that the results of the election could wind up in the Supreme Court. I don't think this is the way he thought it would go. And so, while Jessica noted this was an unsigned
response, there is no dissent from any of the people that the president put on the Supreme Court here. And so the question ultimately is, they knew this is where this is going to go behind the scenes if you talk to campaign officials, but what do they do next? Because they have been rejected by the Supreme Court twice in a week. So how long can they keep a charade like this up? Because as we noted earlier, the campaign has said they are going to be putting out ads about stopping the steal of the vote, that kind of thing. They've been pushing at all of these rallies. But of course, what are they going to be telling their supporters now to convince them that this election is theirs?
All right, Caitlin, thank you very much. It's amazing. You think about those 126 people, and Caitlin says she spoke to some of them, those Republicans, right, telling her that, well, they were assuming the Supreme Court would stop this, that they put their names on it because they just, they wanted to curry favor with the president, admitting it. It's a sad truth when you hear that sort of thing. You remember that state senator in Georgia last night who told all of us that he thought that this was an important moment in history and it would go down in history. He wanted to be on the side of truth. And he was saying, Biden won Georgia. Those are the facts. These 126 Republicans not having that courage. In a moment, I'm going to speak to Republican Governor Chris Sununu of New Hampshire. His state did not back the Texas lawsuit. Biden won his state. He has been loud and clear about that. But first, I want to get some legal analysis from Nick Ackerman. He is former Assistant Special Water Grade Prosecutor and a former Assistant U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Nick, my mouth getting ahead of myself. So let me just ask you where we are here, right? 2 cases shot down by a unanimous court in a week. Right. So you got the Electoral College on Monday. Is this really game over here for the president, or does he have any chance left to try to mess it up?
He's got 0 chance left. This was supposed to be the culmination of his return to the White House. This is something he's been plotting for months. It started months ago when he basically got all of his supporters to stay away from absentee ballots. He got the legislatures in Pennsylvania and Michigan to ensure that votes from absentee ballots couldn't be counted until after the election day. And then he used that. He used that in these papers before the Supreme Court to argue that the votes that were counted after 3 a.m. on election night somehow had to be fraudulent and phony votes from dead people because they just suddenly came in. Well, everybody knew where they came in. They came in from the absentee ballots that had to be counted after the election. This, he thought, would get him into the Supreme Court because he thinks that by appointing 3 people to the Supreme Court and having a so-called Republican or conservative majority on the court, that was going to do it for him and that would keep him in because his view was he took care of them, he rubbed their backs, they're going to rub his back. The U.S. Supreme Court does not work that way. This is exactly what people thought was going to happen during Watergate. When Nixon was contesting his tapes, there were members of the Supreme Court, most of whom were appointed by Republicans, were as a conservative majority. It was unanimous again. They ordered him to turn over those tapes. The fact is that Supreme Court justices have a duty to the Constitution. They abide by the rule of law, and that's what happened then, and that's what happened now.
And I just want to make it clear, so you have no surprise that the court ruled as it did tonight and earlier this week, unanimous.
None whatsoever. This is precisely what I assumed they were going to do, what everybody predicted they would do. Yep. I mean, if you read those briefs that were just full of lies and conspiracy theories and nonsense, you wouldn't have a 5th grader submit that kind of material to dog license appeals, never mind the Supreme Court.
Oh, then you're going to sneak me. What's I doing, son? You're going to sneak me, huh?
All right.
I'll start.
Saying that White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows told FDA Commissioner Stephen Hahn that if he does not authorize the Pfizer vaccine today,
he should submit his letter of resignation. Let's get straight to CNN's Caitlin Collins at the White House. Caitlin, what are you learning about this conversation between Meadows and Hahn?
Well, Jake, it was a phone call that they had this morning, and basically the way this conversation was described to us by multiple people is that Mark Meadows told Dr. Hahn that if they were not prepared to grant that emergency authorization for Pfizer's vaccine by the end of today, that he needed to be prepared to resign. And we're told that's a larger sign of the president's frustration. We know he's been fed up with the FDA for weeks now, but this week specifically he's been venting because he's seeing other countries roll out their vaccines and their citizens getting shots in their arms. And so he's been incredibly frustrated that the emergency use has not been granted here for Pfizer's vaccine, despite how it's been in the works for several days. And that comes, Jake, as we heard from the HHS secretary this morning saying they are working on this, that we are incredibly close to this, potentially just days away, and that this authorization could come as soon as this weekend. Yet the president's patience seems to be running thin, wearing thin, and that is why he was tweeting this morning, complaining about the FDA, calling it money-drenched, and telling them to, quote, get the damn vaccines out. And now that led to this phone call between Mark Meadows and Stephen Hahn. But the question is whether or not he's actually going to be fired, and if the president is really going to go out there and fire the FDA commissioner with 6 weeks left to go in his administration, given this is the biggest thing that they are dealing with right now, Jake.
Yeah, I saw the president's tweet. He misspelled the word damn. One thing that I wonder about, Caitlin, is there have been concerns about the president putting political pressure on the scientists. That has undermined confidence in the vaccine, which, of course, is the last thing we need right now, because we need about 70% of the American people to get this vaccine when they can. How did Hahn respond to this reported threat?
So he put out a statement saying that it was being misrepresented, that he was told he was going to be fired if he didn't get it out. Instead, he said that the FDA was encouraged to continue working expeditiously on this Pfizer vaccine. That's certainly not what the White House believes that the FDA has been doing. But you're right, Jake. There has been the question of whether or not there is this political pressure being exerted over the FDA, and really what they're going to accomplish if they did fire the FDA commissioner, because that could only potentially further undermine the confidence that this vaccine has gone through all the right process making and decision making that it needs to go through. And so that's really the ultimate question that the White House is facing here when it comes to this. But we should know there have been multiple tense conversations between the White House Chief of Staff and Dr. Hahn over the last several weeks. This phone call was just really a culmination of that altogether. And the president is not even hiding that he is pressuring the FDA. He says the only reason they got this through so quickly is because of his pressure, which notably the White House used to deny that he was pressuring them at all, Jake.
All right, Caitlin Collins, thanks so much. Let's bring in Dr. Paul Offit. He was on the FDA advisory panel that met yesterday and voted in favor of recommending emergency use authorization of Pfizer's vaccine. Dr. Offit is also director of the Vaccine Education Center at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Dr. Offit, first I want to get your reaction to this reporting that the White House is basically telling Dr. Hahn, approve and authorize the vaccine today or clean out your desk. I mean, we all share this urgency, but isn't this inappropriate?
It's just meaningless saber rattling. I mean, Pfizer submitted its emergency use authorization on November the 20th. For 3 weeks, the FDA went through every piece of clinical data that Pfizer had for all these 44,000 patients that were participants that either received vaccine or received placebo, to see if there were any inconsistencies in what Pfizer had submitted and all the primary data. Then and only then they provided to us, the Vaccine Advisory Committee, not only Pfizer's original application, but their assessment of all the other data. So there's 2 huge documents which we then got to review. On Thursday, after having reviewed that and having discussed all that, we recommended approval. It was very clear that the CDC met on Friday to basically look through the same data we at the FDA looked through, and with an understanding that they were going to meet again on Sunday, because they assumed that sometime in the next couple days, either tonight, Friday night, or Saturday, that the FDA would grant approval, which would be typical. And then on Sunday, they would vote on it, because the CDC wouldn't vote on something that hadn't been yet approved by the FDA. So the administration says, you know, do this or else is ridiculous. They were doing it anyway. So I think it's just all show. It means nothing. It certainly doesn't rush the process in any sense. So people shouldn't be frightened that that's what's happening.
But to be clear, Dr. Hahn, in your view, was probably going to authorize this today or tomorrow anyway.
The holidays are
Exactly.
But I have to say, you know, one of the concerns that there is about the vaccine is there are so many skeptics in the public right now. According to polling, it's about 1/3 of the American people. A number of them are in minority communities, black communities, that historically have been treated as guinea pigs, such as like the Tuskegee experiment, and they're very skeptical of the government. This could undermine confidence in the vaccine, I would think. Is that a concern?
I mean, hopefully people will be convinced by the compelling nature of the data. This is a 44,000 person study. 22,000 people got vaccine, 22,000 got placebo. It was 95% effective. It was virtually 100% effective against severe disease. It was 95% effective in people over 65. African Americans were certainly well represented. I mean, not perfectly represented, but about a little over 9% of the study participants were African Americans, who represent about 13% of the population. So it roughly equivalent to looking this trial looked like what America looks like. So, you know, it's when you launch a vaccine like this, you're not trying to answer the question, do you know everything? You never know everything. The question is, do you know enough to say that the benefits of this vaccine clearly outweigh? Was pretty easy yesterday when we met.
So the message from you, a member of the advisory committee, is the vaccine is safe. People should take it. Saber rattling, as you called it. Just don't pay any attention to it. The process is going to work. That's what I'm hearing from you.
Exactly right. I mean, President Trump is completely off the point at this point in the process.
Dr. Paul Offit, thank you so much for what you do, and thanks for joining us today. Appreciate it. Let's talk about this with the panel. Olivier Knox, let me start with you. You heard Dr. Offit. It's possible that the FDA was going to approve the vaccine today or tomorrow, but now, of course, there's this concern of more pressure from the president, politicizing science, and the concern that this could undermine confidence in the vaccine.
Sure, and part of a pattern of the president of the United States pressuring, well, pretty much anyone, American corporations, American lawmakers, American governors, American scientists, American health advisors, members of his own cabinet, his attorney general, et cetera. And I'm glad you highlighted the polling. The polling is pretty scary. There are large numbers, particularly of women and of minorities, who are, according to recent polling by the Associated Press, hard-nosed or unsure whether they will take the vaccine. And we need, as you said, about 70% of Americans to sign up for this in order to beat back the pandemic.
Nia Henderson, President-elect Joe Biden moments ago made a point to stress that the vaccine was developed free from political influence. It will be safe. He told me a couple of weeks ago he will be, he will be inoculated. He will be vaccinated in public if appropriate.
They squeezed in enough commercials. Say that.
What does this accomplish? Donald Trump is on his way out the door. Why do this?
This is a terrible, terrible thing, given what we know about the skepticism that many, many people have, people I talk to, people you all talk to, as well, about this vaccine. This is the fear, that it was rushed, that they didn't do their due diligence in this vaccine. You have the doctor, of course, saying something different. People should look at the data, but people might not want to look at the data, right? I mean, that's not how people necessarily think about these things. They see what this president has done with this phone call, with this real pressure. This is a real dangerous thing that happened today. I mean, when I read this story, my stomach dropped because it's only going to feed the skepticism, feed the view that maybe people shouldn't take this vaccine because it has been politicized and maybe it was rushed. I mean, I talked to Democrats, white people, white men, black people, all sorts of folks are just so skeptical of this vaccine. And to have this happen today, there needs to be some sort of widespread education campaign. Dr. Offit is one person, and you saw Joe Biden talk about this today, but this needs to be much more front and center. I think Obama said that he might take this thing live on television. It might not be the best viewing, but in terms of a public education campaign about this vaccine, that is going to be certainly necessary because people are just deeply skeptical, and with good reason.
Well, this not according to the science. I mean, historically they might be skeptical.
That's right. I think there are two things.
Or Trump politicizing it, but in terms of the science, they shouldn't be skeptical. They should take it. I'll certainly get it as soon as I can. It's just amazing to me, Operation Warp Speed, such an accomplishment of the Trump White House, and he continues to step all over it.
All right, well, hold on a second.
Confirms that the FDA has officially given the green light for the emergency use authorization. You'll hear the EUA, that's what it is, for the Pfizer coronavirus vaccine. It's approved. This means we could just be hours away from the final hurdle to be cleared. What is that? We'll discuss. But what happens after that? That's what matters. The first COVID vaccine shots will be administered, or let's say can be administered to Americans within days. I say can instead of will because there are a lot of logistics here that you got to get right. Let's bring in Chief Dr. Sanjay Gupta and top public health expert Dr. Leana Wen. Thank you both for doing this at quick notice. Sanjay, we are not surprised by this. What does this mean?
Well, this is expected. The FDA Advisory Committee recommended this yesterday. Now this Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine is authorized under emergency use, which means that the vaccine itself, which has largely been in these cold storage in Kalamazoo, Michigan, will start to get distributed all over the country, various locations all over the country. At the same time, almost simultaneously this weekend, now that it's been authorized, the CDC is going to make the formal recommendation, sort of what you were just talking about, Chris, the who, what, when of the vaccine. There's a lot here. I'm just reading the FDA notice here.
I know they're printing it out for me. That's what you hear behind me. I don't know why they're printing it out for me. It's not like I can read it right now. But what are the high points?
The basic thing is it talks about the fact that it reviewed the entire application, how long the application has been reviewed, what sort of specific things they were looking for, and basically at the end, and it's a pretty sizable document here, they're going to have some specifics about how they determined at the end of the day, based on the totality of the evidence, that the benefits outweigh the risks, and that this is a very effective vaccine at preventing illness from COVID-19. So that's basically it. There may be some other restrictions in here. I want to read this more carefully.
Take a look at the document.
Things that Leana and I have been talking about.
Take a look at the document. Let me bring in Leana just to get a reaction about where this is. I had Dr. Fauci on last night, and I said, a lot of alphabet soup involved here. The FDA has to talk to the CDC after the CDC had already talked to the FDA, and now after this approval it has to go back to the CDC. Why so much alphabet soup? What is the virtue in this process? What is the virtue in not streamlining it?
Commercials are rampant.
I think there is great virtue to having external scientists review everything that's going on, considering the record speed that got us to where we are, and the fact that, I think it's just really amazing. We need to take a moment, I think, and just consider that we are having this mass casualty event every day here in the U.S., but now we have this vaccine developed in record time that can, in time, really save us and save our country and save the world from this awful pandemic. And this is really a monumental moment for us. But we also need to make sure that every safeguard was followed. And that's what all these scientists and all these committees are here to do.
I'm with you. Look, at its basis, this is an emergency use authorization, which is already showing that there is some kind of risk here. And we have a messaging issue. You're about 60-30 or so right now with people about wanting to take the vaccine. And it's important that they have trust. And it's important that they know it's done the right way. I agree with all that. Here's my concern going forward while we let Sanjay peruse the document. We are assuming there's going to be a problem with people wanting to take this vaccine. But I will tell you, Doc, and I said this about COVID, that anecdotally I was hearing it was around a lot earlier than January. Now I've been proven right. I got savaged by my brothers and sisters in the media. I was right. Once again, I am hearing from all over the country that the demand is going to be huge for this vaccine, even in the states that Trump won, because he told them the vaccine's a good thing to take, that he made the vaccine happen. And are you worried about that? That they're holding up the relief bill right now in Congress. There's money in there. I think right now it's $6 billion. There's no talk of a separate vote on just that money to get it out the door for the vaccine, that we won't have enough vaccine for the demand. And you'll start to have people be desperate in this country and thinking that someone's not taking care of them. Is that a concern?
It's a huge concern because now that we have this resource available, a lot of people are going to want it, which is great, except that we now need to also produce hundreds of millions of doses of this vaccine and distribute it. Part of what I'm also worried about is lack of funding for local and state health departments. State health departments have requested $8.4 billion in order to run their vaccination programs. They've gotten, I think, about $200 million so far.
Right.
And so
McConnell
we really
calls
need
it a
to
blue
make sure
state
that
bailout.
this warp speed.
Yeah, he calls it a blue state bailout, but you have red and blue states all over the country asking for this money because they've run through, they don't have their revenues from taxes because obviously everybody's in a downturn economically. And if they don't have both pieces of the puzzle, money for the manufacturing directly out the door soon and money to support the local governments who will be doing the distribution, what's the potential?
57, 58.
That was a stupid commercial.
I mean, then we would see that all the speed and urgency that we've been put into the scientific development process will not translate to actual distribution. And I think to your point earlier, I do agree there are a lot of people who want access to the vaccine. I think there are a lot of people who are hesitant as well. And many of the people who are hesitant are from communities that are particularly hit hard by the pandemic. And so we have to just make sure that we don't just have a free-for-all where it's only people who are wealthy who are able to access the vaccine and people who are disadvantaged are being hurt even more.
Yeah, that can happen two ways. One is when people pick winners and losers, there can be a bias. And we're going to have to watch that. And it's going to be hard to do because it's going to be on a local level and a state level all over this country. But a big question mark will, I think, be turned into an exclamation mark when people start to see that people are getting the vaccine. If there aren't a lot of side effects, if you're not having a lot of allergic reactions, people are going to realize this is their best bet. All right, Sanjay, are you back in the game? What do you have for us?
Yep. Yes, it's a 9-page document, and it talks a lot about the specific criteria that the FDA evaluated in issuing this emergency use authorization. They spent a lot of time in this document also talking about the fact that given that it's an emergency use authorization, there's got to be a lot of post-release screening. They're going to have a reporting system in place, you know, for anybody who may have any side effects or safety concerns about this, and they're going to continue collecting data on this for 2 years. There's also a request that the Pfizer still put out educational materials to people, that they handle all the cold chain storage that we've been talking about for some time. So there's a lot of requirements. None of these are surprising. The fact that this will continue to be studied, that was expected. This is an emergency use authorization. The fact that they will continue to look for these side effects and educate consumers as they learn new things about this vaccine, that was expected. Also, that they've got plans in place to both handle the cold chain storage. It needs to be kept very cold. Most people know that now if they know anything about this vaccine, and they've got to be responsible for that, and also have got to continue to provide evidence that they're able to manufacture this vaccine safely at scale. You know, manufacturing for tens of thousands of people in a clinical trial is one thing. Manufacturing hundreds of millions of doses with the same quality control standards, that's a different level. So they've got to continue to show evidence of that. So there's a lot in here, but there's no surprises that I'm seeing. What we also, I think we're going to get some more clarity from the CDC when they make these recommendations is this going to be recommended for people who may be pregnant, for example, or is that going to be something that requires a conversation between a woman and her doctor if she's high risk to have that conversation? Is it going to be not recommended for people who have had severe allergies in the past? some of those things I'm going to want to know, and we might hear about that over the weekend. But the bottom line, as Lena was saying, I mean, Chris, I can't believe, I didn't think we'd be having this conversation this year, to be perfectly honest with you. It's remarkable how quickly this has gone. But I want to be clear. I don't think that in terms of the trials and then the evaluation of the data on effectiveness and the evaluation of the data on safety, I don't think any corners were cut here. I know a lot of people are concerned about the speed of this, but this is good data, and this is a safe and effective vaccine from what we're looking at here.
Hey, I have a question that I hear from a lot of people. Lena, maybe you know the answer. If not, Sanjay, or maybe both of you. The idea of, well, hey, which one do I take? If the Pfizer's out there and then the Moderna is out there, can I take both of them? Can I split it? Can I take one? Do I have to take the booster shots? Let's deal with the first part. Lena, can you take both vaccines, or what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, so it's not recommended that you take both vaccines. And also in the beginning, we're so limited in supply, you should take whatever vaccine you have access to. And initially, people are not going to have a choice. It's whatever your doctor's office or your pharmacy has access to is the vaccine that you get. And frankly, they're very similar. It's a similar mechanism of action, and they're similar in terms of safety and efficacy, so take what you can get. And don't mix the two either. So if you get the primer from the first type of vaccine, get the same booster from that vaccine as well.
We have a very serious problem.
All right, I'm bored. What are you talking about? I wasn't fast enough though, mudded up. We still missed the item. Oh, that was it. For the articles.
Bark is the
Hey. Two commercials.
I was only approached by a group of young men armed with guns, bust my car door open, and started to force the keys out of my car.
And new at 9, a Chicago mother there speaking out tonight after a group of men carjacked her while she was driving an Uber on the city's west side. And now tonight, she's asking the rideshare company for some help.
WGN's Rob Steed is live from Harrison and Kedzie, near where that happened. Rob.
She said those suspects took everything, her keys, her phone, her wallet, her purse. She said that she thought she was doing a regular Uber pickup, as she always does, and she says that she had several guns pointed at her head. She ran for her life. She went down the street screaming for help.
I cannot sleep at night. I look at my son. I have a son that I provide for. This was my only income. And to see that I'm being set back in such a way, it really hurts.
Shantae Johnson hasn't lived in Chicago that long, only a couple of years. She figured coming here would be a fresh start for her and her child. The single mother drives Uber to provide for herself.
What the hell you went to Chicago for?
What happened to her Monday on West Lexington changed her life forever.
I got to the pickup area, the exact address. I was only approached by a group of young men armed with guns, bust my car door open, and started to force the keys out of my car.
She screamed,
Pleading and begging for my life, explaining that I have a son, and they were distracted, still trying to get the keys out. I started to run. I was in flip-flops. I left everything in my car, phones, debit card, credit cards, everything was in that car, license, registration, everything.
As she ran for her life, she says she saw a group of people having a party at their home. The 27-year-old prayed they would extend a helping hand.
One of them yelled out and asked me, what's happening? What's happening? I told them I'm getting robbed. Please call the police. They started laughing. I could hear all of them laughing out loud. So I kept running. I don't understand. You see somebody in such distress and not even try to assist, but laugh at the situation.
So she continued to run.
I ran into two elderly civilians that was kind enough to stop.
They called Chicago police and Johnson made a report. Her car, a blue Volkswagen, license plate BV93786, is still missing. She says she called Uber for help, and like that night with that group of people, she still feels ignored and helpless.
Uber system does not design to protect the drivers. Uber system designed to protect the riders.
Will you ever drive again?
No, I will never drive again for Uber.
Tonight, a spokesperson with Uber told me that they are looking into this case and they will get back to me. Reporting live on the city's west side, Rob Sneed, WGN News.
Give us scarier than that, Rob. Thank you.
That's crazy. And people were telling me, get a car and drive for Uber. He says he went to Chicago for a better life. Ah. 5 hours ago.
Authorities are investigating after a woman who was reportedly lying in the road was struck and killed by an L.A. County Sheriff's vehicle. This happened around 6:30 this morning. It was on Imperial Highway near Success Avenue. LAPD is handling the investigation, says the woman, who was in her 40s or 50s, is believed to have been homeless. It is unclear why the woman was reportedly lying in the road, but a wheelchair was found nearby and marked off as possible evidence.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC7 content by clicking the subscribe button for our YouTube channel.
That's it, man. Really? I say really like a hillbilly. I looked at the CV numbers. I bought this gum from my neighbor. I ain't even need it. But I asked her to watch out for the packages. And we didn't get it. But it's all good. All right, y'all. We got 16,295,458 cases in the United States that we know of the CV. 302,750 people have died of the CV. Mm. All right. Look at that. California having a CV party in the city called Watts, where poverty and the CV's all they got. I'm talking about California. They got 37,143 new cases. 37,143 new cases. They lost 216 people. They got over 750,000 people walking around LA, California, Watts, San whatever, San Juan and San Jose, and they all walking around infected. That's crazy. Texas, 15,084 deaths. I mean, it was a rough start today. I get tired. 15,084 new cases. They lost 232 people in Texas today. They got 220,000 people walking around infected. Florida, 11,699 new cases. They got 123 deaths today. They got 402,000 people walking around. Illinois, 9,420 new cases today. They lost 222 people. They got 352,000 people walking around. New York City might be trying to get that number 4 spot back. They had 10,716 new cases. They lost 95 people today. They got 306,000 walking around infected. Ohio, 10,359 new cases. They lost 128 people. They got 164,000 walking around. Georgia on my mind. I go the midnight train to Georgia. Luckily, I ain't get the CV from California. But I know I'm going to get it soon as I get off the train. Everybody got it down south. Ain't that strange? Georgia, 6,191 new cases. They lost 56 people. They got 204,000 walking around infected. Pennsylvania, 13,318 new cases. They lost 227 people today. They got 191,500 walking around. Michigan, what up, though? They got 5,626 new cases. They lost 65 people. They got 251,500 walking around. Tennessee, they got 7,289 new cases. They got 87 new deaths. They got 47,500 walking around. Wisconsin, they got 3,858 new cases. They lost 47 people. They got 50,000 walking around. Ain't nothing finer than the hills of North Carolina. They got 7,540 new cases. They lost 38 people. They got almost 77,000 walking around infected. Indiana, 7,200 new cases. They lost 70 people. They got 153,000 walking around. New Jersey, 3,543 new cases. They lost 59 people. They got 176,000 walking around. Arizona, they got 7,000 new cases. They lost 91 people. 327,000 plus walking around. Minnesota, 3,750 new cases a day. They lost 94 people. They got 39,000 walking around. Missouri, 4,524 new cases a day. They lost 31 people. They got 256,000 infected right now. Alabama. I said Alabama. Can I hit it? Bama. They got 3,853 new cases. They lost 52 people. They got 110,000 walking around. Colorado. 4,678 new cases. They lost 87 people. They got 219,000 walking around. Massachusetts, 5,665 new cases. They lost 48 people. They got almost 56,000 walking around. Virginia, 3,400 new cases. They lost 35 people. 244,000 walking around. Louisiana, 2,862 new cases. They lost 43 people. They got 40,000 almost walking around. Iowa, I owe her a better place to live than Iowa. They got 2,200 cases. They lost 77 people. I'm sorry, 2,200 new cases. They lost 77 people. They got 57,000 walking around. Ain't nothing finer than the rose of South Carolina. They got 3,540 new cases. They lost 46 people. They got 116,000 walking around. Oklahoma, 3,900 new cases. They lost 27. They got almost 32,000 walking around. My state of Maryland, no Christmas caroling, no night in Maryland, 'cause we struggling with that sleazy. I want the people to keep it away from me. My little state of Maryland, we got 2,616 new cases, lost 52 people. We got 215,000 walking around. Quick Draw McGraw, Utah, 2,183 new cases. They lost 9 people. They got almost 58,000 walking around. Oh, shucky ducky. Snitch McConnell and the chumps in Kentucky. They got 3,670 new cases. They lost 22 people. They got almost 184,000 walking around. Washington State, 3,006 new cases. They lost 23. They got 123,000 people walking around infected. Kansas, 5,115 new cases. I guess they better get the CV on down the road. They said can't nothing help you if you let that CV erode. So tell them seniors to ease on down the road. Avoiding that ventilator should be your goal in Kansas. Just CV on down the road. They lost 131 people today. That's why I gave them an extra song. They got 72,500 plus walking around. The fake Kansas, Arkansas, 2,770 new cases. They lost 55 people. They got almost 21,000 walking around. Nevada, 1,691 new cases. They lost 45 people. They got almost 87,000. We got M-I, a crooked letter, I, crooked letter, I, humpback, I. You got Mississippi. I said Mississippi. The Missis got 2,327 new cases. They lost 41 people. They got 34,500 infected. Nebraska, 1,103. They lost 14 people. They got 56,500 infected. Connecticut, 3,782. They lost 36 people. They got 92,500 walking around. Idaho, 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 Idaho. They got 1,582 new cases. They lost 15 people. They got 72,500 people walking around infected. New Mexico, I said New Mexico. They got 1,834 new cases. They lost 43 people. They got 72,000 plus walking around. Oregon, 1,582 new cases. They lost 15 people. Still don't have no stats. South Dakota, 945 new cases. They lost 33 people. They got 15,000 and a half walking around infected. North Dakota, 490 new cases. They lost 27 people today. They got 4,400 walking around. Montana, 978 new cases. They lost 24 people. They got 10,000 walking around. Time to roll that off. Rhode Island. I said Rhode Island. They got 1,571 new cases. They lost 11 people. They got 65,000 people walking around. West Virginia, 942 new cases. They lost 17 people. They got 20,000 walking around. Finally, Delaware. I said Delaware. They got 782 new cases, and they lost one. No stats for the active cases. Thank you, Delaware. Wyoming. 562 new cases. They lost 22 people. They got almost 3,400 walking around. Alaska, 622 new cases. They lost 3 people. No stats. New Hampshire, 1,187 new cases. They lost 6 people. They got 6,800 walking around. District of Columbia, 259 new cases. And they lost one. They got 6,100 walking around. Hawaii, Hawaii. They lost. They picked up 87 new cases today, and they lost one. They got 5,500 people walking around infected on the island. It's a pain to live in Maine. It's so mundane. Every day seems the same. It's so boring. Maine, I have you snoring. I said it's a strain to live in Maine. They got 345 new cases. They lost 4 people. They got 4,500 walking around. Vermont. Dun, 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 dun. Vermont country, Vermont, 128 new cases. They lost 4 people. They got 2,100 people walking around. Puerto Rico, let me roll that R. Puerto Rico, they got 2,741 new cases. They lost 11 people. They got almost 54,000 walking around. Guam, 27 new cases today, and they lost 9. They got 551 people walking around infected. The United States Virgin Islands, they picked up 58 cases, and they lost 9. They got 179 people walking around the Virgin Islands infected. No stats for Marinia, no stats for American Samoa. U.S. military, 4,778 new cases. They lost 8 people. They got 55,500 walking around. Veteran Affairs, 1,905. They lost 48 people today. They got 17,773 walking around infected. Federal prisons, 539 new cases, and they lost 1. They got almost 9,000 walking around infected. No stats for the Navajo. So we got 16,295,458 new cases. I'm sorry, total cases, 16,285 and 458. I'm getting tired, y'all. New cases, 246,530. Total deaths, 302,750. And deaths today, 3,019. We lost 3,019 Americans today in the United States to the CV. 3,019 people. We got 6,485,289 people walking around the United States infected right now. Infected. Oh, I see what you said, Naya. Somebody said something. Let me see what it is. All right, we got a link from Chung Lee. But hold on. Nia said something, so hold on a sec. Nia said perhaps she moved from Detroit. Why would you move from one crap hole to another? With all the violence that go on in Chicago, and she keeps saying she got a young son, why would she move that young son to Chirac? Anybody want to answer that question? Why would you want to move your son to Chirac? I'll listen. More killings in Chicago than any other place in the world. 80% of them black people. Why would you move your young son to Chicago? Anybody? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mother Farmer said Maine got good skin. He said girls in Lambeau up at the E-Lodge. Hey, looky here, Mother Farmer. Think of all the words that rhyme with Maine. And look at how I snuck them all in that little song. And rhymed born and snoring in the midst of it. He said, big cheap building I moved to. All right, but you go ahead and move that in. Mud up, and we'll be showing you on the news. Go ahead and move to Chirac. I wouldn't let my dog move to Chirac, and I wouldn't even have a dog. But if I did, I wouldn't even let that go to daggone Chirac. Senators Bernie Sanders and Josh Hawley team up and push for second $1,200 stimulus check. Senators Bernie Sanders and Josh Hawley are among the most vocal supporters of more $1,200 stimulus checks. Now the two lawmakers are reaching across the aisle to make sure those payments are included in any congressional legislation. The amendment will make certain that working families get the urgent, direct support they need to survive. The clock is ticking for Congress to authorize new funding to prevent a government shutdown and pass new CV stimulus relief. Now, two vocal supporters of second round of $1,200 stimulus check, Senators Bernie Sanders of Vermont, and he's an independent, and Josh Hawley, Republican. Is that Montana or Missouri? Is either Montana or Missouri? Have teamed up to introduce an amendment with the goal of ensuring those checks to Americans are included either in a stopgap bill or other legislation. The senators are calling for a second round of payments similar to the first that went out in the spring, $1,200 for adult, $500 for child. And with the first round, individuals who earn up to $75,000 will qualify for the full payment. However, insist that any agreement in terms of CV relief package must include not only strong unemployment benefits, but a $1,200 direct payment for working families of this country, similarly structured to what was included in the CARES package, Vermont Sanders said on the Senate floor Thursday. The Vermont Senate said this week that more than $1,200 checks are needed, while the White House called instead for 600 checks per individual. Hawley also introduced his own bill Thursday for the second $1,200 stimulus check. It will be a dereliction of duty if Congress adjourns for Christmas without having a vote on providing working families with direct payments, Hawley said in a statement. Despite Washington lawmakers' new efforts to come to an agreement on CV relief, a deal has been elusive this week. Senate Majority Leader Mitch Twitch Snitch McConnell of Shucky Ducky, Kentucky, signaled Senate Republicans will not support a $908 billion bipartisan proposal. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has adjourned until next week. Y'all know something? I said it before and I say it again. We need to adjourn. We need to adjourn these congressmen and senators and get them out of there. The reason why they won't give us the money, but the Republicans have spent our money on dumb stuff. And they ain't handling our money. We sitting here, $3 trillion in debt to other countries. They're not handling our money right. And yet we still re-elect them. How dumb are we? Somebody talk to me. That's our money they mishandling. They mishandling our money. Alrighty, y'all. This time yesterday I was asleep. Let me get ready to get out of here. I might come back on later on. You know, I don't know. I might play the game or something. But I'm gonna go lay down and relax. I'm glad I had food left over from yesterday, so I ain't gotta go in here and cook. I might go in there and I've been nibbling all night, so I ain't really hungry. I might get a bowl of cereal and go ahead and call it a night. But go ahead and watch the wrestling. Figure out these new if I figure out these new earbuds, I might come back to test them. I might play the game or something. So if y'all still up, be looking for me. Yeah, we need term limits to get them bums out of there. And they need to get out of there. Like now. Do not pass go. This ain't Monopoly. They need to get out. Put them on the curb. Put them curbside. But already, y'all, like I said, if I don't fall asleep, I'm going to come back on later on. Y'all might be here, y'all might not. I might play the game or something, I don't know. I just want to test the earbuds out and see if they work. Like I said, I did a lot of standing up today. Plus we rode the bike, you know. Standing outside all that time, I knew it was going to catch up with me. You know. So, thanks everybody for watching. Thank you, Chung Lee, for what you did. We really appreciate it. Thanks to Mud Duck, Nia, Liz was here earlier. Anybody else I might have forgot? Y'all have a great night. And Like I said, I might come back on later on. Maybe like 2, 3 in the morning if y'all still up. If y'all see the notification, come on over because I'm going to need y'all to let me know how these new earbuds work. So, but like I say, I'm feeling blessed because these wasn't supposed to come to tomorrow, and we used them. The bike wasn't supposed to be here tomorrow. It's sitting right there. And I got to transfer the stuff over to the bike. Try to figure out, I don't even remember how I had it rigged up, but I got to put the lights and everything back over there on the bike, so we just got to change everything around. I got to say, though, it felt good to be back, and it really felt good to put that cruise control on. We was on a flat land and just let her go. So it's going to take me a couple trips to get back to where I was riding-wise. Well, like I said, we were lucky. No, another thing, didn't have a cart. See, I had to wheel a shopping cart around the market, but I didn't need to get that much because I got so much yesterday. So, thanks everybody for watching, and like I said, I'll be back, and I'll be refreshed, and I'll put on a better show for y'all. I'm sitting here half asleep, but I did the best I could for you. I love y'all. I hope y'all have a good night if I don't see you, but I will see you later on today. I'm going to spend the day, I'm going to spend the day changing the stuff over from the scooter. That power bank is like at 60%. Y'all know the little power bank. I need to charge that up to 100% and figure out these new earbuds. Because I got to read the instructions because I don't see a button on them. So I don't know how you pair them up or change the volume. I hope I didn't get a bad deal on arrival. We'll see. Yes, thank you, Chung Lee. You said soon GPS be steering everything, I'll be slipping on the trip. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good night. I don't want to fall asleep in front of y'all. Once again, thanks, Chung Lee. Thanks to everybody that came. We didn't have the numbers that we normally have. I didn't give you a great show tonight. This was a fourth show, but I got through it. 3 hours. All righty, y'all. See y'all tomorrow. Thanks for watching. If I don't see you later on tonight, y'all have a productive day, and I'll see y'all. I might ride down to Walgreens to take these 2 headsets back. I'll either do that tomorrow or I'll do it Sunday. Either way, they're going back. But I don't need anything. We went to the market yesterday and today, so we got food, we got drinks, so I really don't need anything. But just to go for a ride, I might ride down there and take that stuff back. And so y'all have a great night, and I will see y'all tomorrow or later on. I might see y'all in a couple hours. I don't know. If I can get these earbuds to work, I might come back on just to test them for a little bit. Maybe play the game or something. Or just talk with y'all. So y'all have a good night. I hope y'all enjoyed the sermon, because we got another one coming tomorrow. But we didn't do it Wednesday, so we did it Friday. Instead of a Wednesday Bible study, we had a Good Friday. Good Friday edition. All right, y'all. Have a great one. I'll see y'all later on. Peace, everybody.